Hello, it is the second week of June and I'm going to be spending this lovely sunny evening planting out loads and loads of seeds. I'm going to be sowing today some peas and beans, lots of different legumes, some squash and some cucumber, also some herbs, some lettuces and some radish and beetroot as well. As well as some new sowing today, I'm also going to be doing quite a lot of succession sowing. There's quite a few seeds like lettuces and radish and beetroot and things like that that I've already been sowing throughout spring. So I'm going to be making sowings of those every few weeks just to give me a succession of crop throughout the rest of the season. So I'll just go through some of the seeds I'm going to be sowing this month over the next week or so. So radishes can be sown all the way up until October. They only take a few weeks to harvest, so these are a really good one to sow all throughout the season really. Your kohlrabi and your beetroot can be sown all the way up until August or even probably later depending on where you are in the country and how big you want to harvest them. So kohlrabi and beetroot can both be harvested when they're super small, depending on how you like them. They're a little bit sweeter when they're smaller, or you can grow them on and let them mature for a slicing beetroot that you can kind of preserve in jars and stuff like that. I've also got my chard as well. So most of the brassicas are pretty good to sow now. Your cabbages, cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts, probably on your last push for your Brussels sprouts if you're wanting them for Christmas. But if you don't mind harvesting throughout the new year, they're still good to go. And Swiss chard and kale can both be sown up until like July, August. Again, that's a crop that you can harvest all throughout winter. So it doesn't really matter if they're still super small because they can just overwinter and then you'll have a fresh early harvest for spring as well before they bolt. So these are for direct sowing. I've got lots of different types of carrots, some golden nuggets. I've got some purple haze carrots that sound pretty interesting. Going to be growing those, some early nantes, and apparently some carrot fly resistant varieties as well, so resistor fly. I'm going to give them a go just because I do have quite a lot of problems with carrot fly each season, so I'm just going to try it and see how I get on with them. I'll be growing these ones in pots. So yeah, your carrots are still good to go. Again, these are succession sowing, so you can sow those every few weeks throughout the season to give you a successional crop. So one that I don't really sow until late May, early June time, now's the perfect time for these for me, is my courgettes. So I'm in Sheffield, a bit north of the country, so it's a little bit cooler than down south. I know some people are harvesting their courgettes already down south, but for me, I just start sowing them around now. And marrows as well, I've got some marrows to get in. And there are some squash that you can sow as well. So lots of different types of squash really, and also a few pumpkins. I mean, depending on how big that you want. I mean, with your pumpkins, if you want to harvest them for Halloween, then it might be a little bit late for your pumpkins, but if you are wanting to harvest them just as an eating food, then you're still good to go with your pumpkins and all of your squash varieties as well. Cucumbers and dills I'm going to be sowing today. And then lastly, all of my salads. So lots of my radicchio and my lettuces and things like that, rockets, they're all going to be going in today, and they're going to be going in pots. And again, with all of my radishes and my beetroot, I just succession sow those. So these will be going every couple of weeks really until the end of the season. I go through salads and stuff like mad at my retreat, so I like to make sure that I am succession sowing these throughout the year. So June's a really great time to sow your beans and peas and things like that because the soil's all warmed up and you can direct sow them. They don't take long to pop up and they start growing really quickly at this time of year as well. So these are my first sowings, and I'm going to be doing lots of different types of beans. So my French beans, my borlotti beans, my climbing beans and my runner beans as well. Lots of herbs like dill, coriander, basil, parsley, these are all still good to go. So it says on the packet sow outdoors up until June, but you can get away with sowing herbs even later than that. You might just not get a massive plant before the frost settles it. Right, so let's start sowing some seeds. Right, so all of these seed trays now have had a really good water, and I'm going to... Right, so here is my lot of seeds. I've got quite a few different varieties in here, and lots of them are going to be direct sown. So things like my kohlrabi, my radishes, they're all going to be direct sown. Got some yellow courgette going in. I absolutely love growing yellow courgette because too often I miss my courgettes and they get to the size of marrows. But when they're yellow ones, I tend to spot them a little bit more. So these ones are a tenner poker. I've got 4 of those, times 4. I've got some borlotti beans, I'm going to get these in. So I love growing borlotti beans because I use them a lot for drying, so soups and stews and things like that. And these will be kept safe in the little greenhouse thing away from mice until they've germinated. I need to make my structure for my beans. I used to have like a little archway that you could walk through and kind of pick them, but I've taken that down this year and I'm going to go for something a bit different. I haven't decided what yet, but that is the job for this week, I think, deciding on my structures and getting those built. It's quite a fun part of allotment gardening, building structures. Right, so I think I've got a stick for Belotti already. Yep. So I've got some beetroot cylindra, and these are going to be multi-sown, these beetroot. I've already sown quite a few beetroot, and this is a new sowing. I sowed my last lot probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I usually multi-sow these in some of the larger modules like this one, and I usually do about 4 to 5 in a pot. So I do like to space them out a little bit just to give them a little bit of room as they're growing. That's got a few too many in there, take those out. This is some curly green kale, and I've sown quite a few of the Nero di Toscana, I think you pronounce it. That's a really beautiful kind of like dark green kale, but this one is more, well, like it says, a curly green kale. And this is really great just eaten in smoothies. I love this one in smoothies, just kind of like chopped up and banged straight in raw. Yeah, so I really love to grow loads of this. I usually sow this right up until the end of July, so I've probably got another 6 weeks of sowing on this one. I think I'm just going to actually try and sow 1 seed per module, even though they're quite tiny, because I can't be bothered to prick them out anymore. I've pricked out probably like 2,000 seedlings over the spring, and yeah, I'm done pricking out now. So I'm just going to try as hard as I can to sow these individually. Right, so before I go home, I'm just going to plant a few rows of direct sown lettuce, and I think all the rest of my seeds I'm probably going to sow tomorrow because the sun's starting to go down now, and I'm not in very many clothes and it's quite chilly now, so I'm going to get packed up as soon as these seeds are sown. So this little bed behind my polytunnel is where I'm going to be sowing some rows of lettuce and some rows of radish as well. I'm just going to start by cutting down some of these stray cherry trees that have formed at the back of here, because I don't want those to encroach anymore, and actually it's blocking out light from the plants inside my polytunnel now as well. That's good enough. I'm going to start off by watering the bed. Why did that squirt on me? I'm just going to alternate them between lettuce and radishes. I've got a few different varieties here. I might go get my little cushion. So I'll probably sow these quite liberally because I'll either end up thinning them out, or I'll just use them as cut and come again lettuce. So I don't really mind how thickly these get sown in these little drills here. Let's do a row of radishes. I think I've made those drills a little bit far apart, to be honest. I think I can get away with doing those a little bit closer. I'll go for my radishes there. And I'll go for another lettuce. And got some little gem lettuce. Some more radishes. So to recap then, the seeds that you can sow in June: peas, French beans, dwarf beans, runner beans, borlotti beans. You've got your brassicas like your cabbages, your kales, cauliflowers, kohlrabis, chards you can grow, beetroot, radishes, lettuce, rocket, spinach, lots of herbs like your basil, your dill, coriander, even things like turnips, swede can all be sown now as well. So yeah, there's still plenty to get in the ground if you haven't even started your veggie patch yet. And if you start sowing your seeds now, come August, you can have a whole entire garden, even if you haven't sown a single seed yet. So yeah, still plenty to get going. I'm just going to get this watered in, then I'm going to go home. I haven't bothered labelling these just because they're all just going to be going in my salad bowl, so I'm not really fussed which varieties they are. I've grown them all before, I've tried them all before, so yeah, that's that sorted. I'm going to get home now.